Okay. So guys, welcome to Trisolace. What we do here is basically we do research. We started in 2015 where we, like every other graduate, you come out of school and you feel there's a need to do something, but there's no money, there's no one to help you out. So we started where a lady down here, this is Atonzu area, a lady down here lost almost all her savings after pension, to the DKMs and the men's board and all that. And then we saw that was an opportunity to make something out of nothing. So when I used to go to my grandpa's village, I'm from a farming background a bit, I would see snails every day. Even when there's no rains, he still had snails. So I asked him and he said, well, they are easy to keep. You just throw food in there and that is all, and they reproduce on their own. So in a short time, you see that they have multiplied. So I said, wow, that is an interesting solution to look at. So I went in there. So when you are coming, what you see is the soil we treat. It's by the gate side, the soil that we treat. So we do soil treatment and then we do snails boxes. When we started, I studied at CSIR where I got a certificate for that. It was quite expensive, but it is a good course to do. So I did that, and to be honest, I didn't get so much out of that. So we had to start from the scratch. And almost everybody that went there was like, how do I get boxes? How do I get snails? How do I get soil? All that was a burden. So let's say you went and studied at CSIR, how to get box, how to get every other thing was a problem. So we sort of created that, a starter kit. And the CSIR later was producing wood-based boxes, which were small and very cumbersome. You have to carry and all that. But what we saw was that when we use wood, after introducing moisture every day, it weakens the wood, and the snails also eat the walls of the wood, and that causes them to die sometimes. Because woods are basically treated with chemicals, so they die. So we thought of another option, metal. Normal metal was rusting and they ate it. And when they die, you feel the inside of it. You can see that it has swallowed or ingested some of the metal. You can feel that it is there. It is doing great. So we made our own revolution, sort of. So we started with the galvanized boxes that you see. So these boxes are galvanized. They do not rust or or react to the snails in any way. And we also coat certain portions with anti-rust. So we started in 2015, but we did not start selling. We started selling 2018. That was when we started our real sales, because
that was a maturity period.
Yes. Africa, we normally do not do research, market research before we start. So we did that. Like I said, CSIR gave us a starting point, but it was mostly everything large. It was sort of chunk knowledge that you need to do. Peel all the bad stuff out. Like every other thing, they have their flaws. What they were lacking was customer support. After you've bought the boxes from them, how to get your feed, how to get this, how to get that was bad. Let's take one instance that they gave, that when you come, give your snails watermelon peels and pineapple peels. So for the first 2 months that we came from CSIR, that was what we were feeding the snails. And they were dying in quantities. Every morning you smell something bad and you're like, I'm losing snails every day. The solution was this. We did a toxicology report at K University where we found out that the watermelon peels had high levels of cyanide, phosphorus and other chemical agents in there. Because of the pesticides the farmers use. They use a lot of pesticide even right before they are harvesting. It shouldn't be done. You have to apply pesticide a month or two before people consume, but still they are doing it. Now even okras, when they are going to sell, they spray it. And you look at it and it's shiny. It's like something from heaven or something, shiny. Banana, everything, they spray it. And it's bad. So if you give them the leftover peels, it kills them. We call CSIR. So, hey, this is what is happening. They had a group, you put it in there. My snails are dying. Change the soil. my snails are dying. Then within 2 days, then someone will come and say, it might be your feed, it might be your soil, it might be this. And by that time, you would have lost. And I do not blame them because they are a government entity. There's very little they can do. So we stepped in that space. That is how come we started. So our process is a niche process where we provide you with these boxes. We fill it with soil, we fill it with snails, we fill it with calcium, and then we fill it with feed, sample feed that they eat. Let me bring out a sample. So currently, because of the high pesticide level, we created our own feed. Okay. And this is a balanced diet for the snails. Everything that the snail will ever need. So it has carbohydrates in there, proteins. That's what I'll tell you.
I get you.
Proteins. It has vitamins, natural source, all natural and organic based. That is what we're feeding them. So that is what you see on the feed troughs everywhere you go. Okay. So the feed troughs were also introduced when we saw that all the other metals and all that was also reacting. And we started using the styrofoam, the ones we use for blow packs, and they were eating it. The snails will eat everything. They will just be gnawing on everything that you give them. So they were eating that as well. So we decided to give them the plastic base, so that we add water and every other thing in there. And there are certain things you see here that we used to take care of them. So we just started the whole process 2 years ago. We started selling. The first year we wanted to sell 20, and in the first month it was sold off. So we had to increase to 50. We sold another 50 and it was sold off. So we had to increase to 70. For the 70, that was where we chopped at, and then we were able to sell everything to clients. So the whole system is this: you reach out to us that I want to buy or I want to start snail farming. We look at your budget, we look at what you want to achieve at the end of the whole system, and then you say, I have a room like this, 2 by 7 feet, blah blah blah. We want to do a large scale farm, and then we start and we help you towards that end.
Another question.
Yes.
Sure. Talking about soil treatment.
Yes.
I want to know the entails of the soil treatment. How you go about it?
Okay. So soil treatment is basically every soil is a living thing. It has larvae, it has eggs, it has live insects in there. That is their habitat. That is where they live. So every day you find that in there. So the most important thing to you now is your snails. Any of those insects can be harmful one way or the other. They will share feed with your snails, they will share space, and some of the insects are territorial. They will try to keep the snails away from their side and might kill them, like the sakasaka, the centipedes that we have. They are very poisonous. They kill the snails instantly and eat very small of it. Move on to the next snail, kill it, eat small. So they are like billionaires in the feeding chain. They don't like food that is left over. They don't like animal that has been there for a long time. They eat
their territory.
Exactly, and they are also looking at also protecting their territory as well. So that is what basically they do. So the soil treatment is lighting up fire on a cauldron or a dasen. Then you put all your sand in there, heat it up, and then stir it like you are doing the gari, so that it kills all the insects there. And there's also another method. People light up, they build the soil into a mound like that. They build it like that. Then they open it like they're going to cast mortar. They put all the burning stuff in there and light it. So once the things burn, it heats the soil around it, and by the time that it finishes burning, all the insects would have been gone or dead. Yes, basically. Every living organism, either viruses, bacteria, everything in there will be dead. Then you leave it overnight for it to cool down. Then you introduce it into the
so
pen.
that's that with the heating and everything. What it, how do you call it? Temper with the natural component of the soil.
Okay, so natural component of soil is basically, even farmers want to ward off a certain type of insects. Insects, some have to eat, and they'll eat the roots and shrubs of your plant. That is what most farmers spray. So with ours, the natural component of the soil is basically the nutrient component, not the insects. So the insects basically facilitate the aeration level, this, that, they are living in there. So going up and down increases the aeration level, it decreases certain toxic chemicals because they eat it. But now we have harvested that soil, brought it, killed away those harmful insects. But the chemicals or the nutrients are still in there.
Okay.
So black soil has a lot of chemical components in there as well, which is organic, which is good for the snails. And the snails actually love their worms, the earthworms. So if you see earthworms in there, do not kill them, but any other insect, take them out. Okay. So yes, basically that is the whole principle.
So do you have, let's say, a temperature maximum that you heat the soil with, or you just heat it?
Okay, it has to burn. So with every other thing, I think the burning has to be around 100 degrees. Okay. But you can do it less because it is not too. Most insects are having vertebrates, or they are not having vertebrates. So it means their resistance level to heat is very little. So these are some of our snails we introduced today.
That is it.
Yes.
Treated soil.
Yes, treated soil that we are putting in. So this, we stocked it today.
Okay.
And that is the treatment we have done. And you can see something interesting here.
Yeah.
This is also dirty oil, which we got, so we are recycling that as well. So the dirty oil prevents insects like ants and centipedes and spiders from crawling up. Because ants will go everywhere. Even holes that you think are not penetrable, they will penetrate and go. So that is what we are using as a stopper to stop them. And then we also have nets here, which wards of insects like flying, sassafly, house flies, mosquitoes, all that, because they will also like to lay in the water of the snails and lay their own eggs. So we are preventing everything. And the box, like I said, is made of galvanized. It doesn't rust, and what you see there is anti-rust that we have applied to the top part. So yes, that is basically. And some of the equipment you see, this is a mist blower, a small one that we use in watering the snails. So we use it to introduce moisture, and then we have a smaller one for our farm hands. And so this is a quarantine method that we've done. So if a snail dies, what we do is that we look at what killed it. Okay. Now we do not have any scientific way of determining what kills snails. I'm being honest to you. So what we do is that we do elimination, trial and error. So if one dies,
and that is with just the physical features of the snail.
Exactly. So we look at the physical features. It died and is foaming. Mm-hmm. That is a significance of or that attributes to food poisoning. So we look at what it ate that particular time. And then we quarantine that section off. So if we found a dead snail here, we quarantine that side off.
So that is the essence of the partition.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So that snails do not walk all over. Because snails tend to cannibalize on other snails. Mm-hmm. So other snails that die. Snail is basically made of protein, 100%, almost 100% protein and calcium. Mm-hmm. That is what. So they themselves will eat other snails to get calcium. And that is an easy way of calcium. So once they die, you find them that they've been eaten by other snails as well. And that is because of the calcium. So we try to prevent that. By warding it off, at the end of the day, you won't have any cannibalism or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And we also introduce the calcium into the feed. So there's a lot of calcium in the feed. Those are the white pebbles things in there. You can see. And they are fine, yes. They are fine as well. So we grind some up, but because they are rocks, most of them do not grind. And they are snail shells, egg shells, and all that. Those are almost 100% calcium based that we add to their feed. Because snails, their shells is 100% calcium. So that is what they need. So we add that to this. So the feed is almost, like I said, 100% everything that a snail will ever need. And that is what. And now we sell some. So we have 2 kilos going for 20 cedis that we're also using.
The feed.
The feed. Now, and that can feed 1 cubicle for like as much as a month and a few days.
So that's the consumption rate.
Exactly. So why we did that was that.
And that applies to how many
30 snails per cubicles. Yeah, can eat that for a month. Yes,
and 2 kg.
Yes, 2 kg. That what necessitated the whole move was that people were losing snails. It's better to spend a little bit on your snail and let them live than to give them bad feed that will also kill them. Yes, and it wouldn't even let you feel comfortable working with the snails again. Okay. So that is what basically we do. Yes. So we are now open for questions. But the good thing is that we buy back from clients. So every other day we buy back whatever you have raised. And the wonderful news we have now is that Ministry of Food and Agric is now doing the greenhouse with us. Okay. So we are doing greenhouse where we are teaching cash crop farmers how to grow their own snails. And wonderfully, we have an exporter, like a company to come and take them off our hands. Okay. So I'll buy from other clients and then I'll bulk it up and sell it to. And the wonderful thing is that they want the small ones, not the Ghanaian big type that we eat. They want small ones. Yeah, no, these are even bigger for them. These are point of lace. The baby ones. These are point of lace. These are almost 6 months old. Okay. These are point of lace. So
yeah, I was going to ask that. Yes. Lifespan.
Yes. So a snail will typically live for about 4 years. Wow. It will not die, but it will stop doing other bodily functions like laying eggs. You know, like humans, or we are also menopausal. So they do menopausal stuff. They do not lay eggs again. But they are hermaphrodites. So they will all lay eggs. There are no males and female. One gentleman called me and said, I need 20 males and 30 female so they can share evenly. Then I said, oh no, they are not like that. So yes, basically.
What are some of the associated risks that, let's say, they can't just do anything about it as of now?
Okay, so we looked at mitigation measures. Okay. Like every other thing, that is why when we started, we did not start selling exactly at 2015. Okay. Because I was a bit into business and I knew that every business has its own ups and downs, pros and cons. So we're looking at, if you are raising, one very important thing is space. So that is why we created the boxes. So your landlord will say, no. I don't want animals that will smell, that will make noise, that will, worry other tenants, and that is why we created the boxes. The boxes themselves seal the snails in there, and it looks aesthetically pleasing, like it looks very beautiful. So wherever you put it, and the wonderful thing is that snails themselves do not make noise or smell already, so you do not worry about that. Is one mitigation measure. People, and our boxes are secured. It has latches on them, so it means that no one can get in. If you have kids, you have people who would want to steal, they cannot, because the box itself is heavy. It has soil and everything in there. And if you are lifting that, the reward that the thief will get is very minimal. So they won't even worry themselves, picking this and going to sell. But if it is open, anyone can just steal two and put it in their benkwaya or something.
So how does that?
But we do free training. Okay. As a loss leader approach. So a loss leader is basically, I'm giving you something small, and when it entices you, you pay for something bigger.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Yeah. So we are selling the boxes and the snails and the soil and the services and after sales services and all that together for 400 cedis.
That is, you get 30 snails.
You get 20 snails.
20 snails.
Yes, for space and factor. Feed. And you get feed, and you get calcium, you get soil. And you get the galvanized box neatly made. This one here. So you get this one here for 400 cedis.
Oh, okay.
It has a lock. It is well made. It looks aesthetically pleasing, like I said earlier. And then we add soil. We put 20 snails in there. But if they are traveling, we add about 2 just for to mitigate if anyone dies or anything like that. So that is basically that. Aside the transportation, there's very little tendency for them to die. So going back to your mitigation measures, let me still go back to that. So what we saw was that if you are able to take care of the feed, prevent insects like the boundary we did, then it means that you have eliminated almost 80% of every bad thing, hazardous thing that will happen to the snail, because that was the only thing that was affecting us pre CSIR era. We saw that feed, the watermelon was poisonous. Even as humans, when you eat it, you feel some sensation in your throat. Now, most feed, watermelon, pineapple, you feel itchiness in your throat. That is your body's way of announcing to you that there's a lot of pesticide or harmful chemicals in there. So that is basically what we have perfected. So we've perfected the feed, perfected the boxes. We now put the boundary there, so it means that everything is secure nowadays. So we have mitigated those measures. We are not saying they will not come, but once they come, we have made assurances that we have cancelled out almost all of them. So that is basically what we are doing.
So how many snails can accommodate a cubicle like this?
A cubicle like that should take not more than 30 snails. Not more than 30 snails. Yes.
Very soon
you have to expand. So the beauty is that in about 6 months you need to expand, because they will all grow up, lay eggs. So what will give you the point of lays are already grown. So like these ones, they are already grown. They are almost 6 months old, like I said, and they are waiting for the season to start laying eggs. That is basically what is left now. So after they start laying eggs, then we transport them. So we have an incubator here. So this is our old trunk that we use as an incubator. It has soil in there, and we are regulating the temperature, otherwise I would have opened it. Okay. So it's a temperature sealed area, so that we use that to hatch the eggs, so that it maintains this temperature, and we use that to hatch the eggs, and then we are good for the day. Okay. So the feed, yes, let's look at so these are our feeding troughs. We have a lot of these that we buy. We have these for packaging the feed. These are Ziploc bags, so that they are very hygienic. And then we have our blower. And then, so this is the carbohydrate based feed, made up of soya beans, grains, maize, other stuff like that. So we perfect that. We have perfected that and know what the snails can actually eat and love. And then we add, this is the protein base. So it's mostly amine acid, certain sorghums and grains that have protein properties like beans and other things like that. But you have to be very careful where you buy them, because they are also sometimes having a lot of pesticides and all that. So we add that, and we add our protein, and then we add something called inhibitor. So the inhibitor is basically something we have done. It is made up of a lot of oils from healthy plants that we discovered, and one important plant is the palm nut oil or palm nut tree. That gives the snails a lot of it sort of calls them to feed. So we use recycling. So once the farmer, the ladies who are preparing the oil have extracted their oil, the leftover, we further extract that from and give it to the snail. So everything is recycling based. So I'll feed, and then we weigh them here. So 2 kilos, and then we bag them in the Ziploc bag, and then we give it to you for that amount. Okay. Yes. So
in case I'm expanded and I need the boxes, will the boxes be sold, or to be sold with the snails?
Yes, with the snails. So what you are doing is that most people will also build what I've built here. Let's look at this as well. They will build something like this, which will further take a lot of snails. So most people will build this and then call for point of lays. We can sell you point of lays at about 5 cedis. But when you go to places like CSIR and all that, they are selling it for 8 cedis, 10 cedis for point of lays. Same age, same structure, and even better feed. So we give it to people at 5 cedis so that they can actually be able to take good care of the snails and be okay with the farming and everything. So you can build something like this and call for.
Do you cast the floor before you put in the soil?
No. There are 2 ways. So sometimes you might have a casted floor already. It doesn't necessitate that you have to break that floor and putting growing soil or anything. So you have to know what. So most people will get. So you see this particular one. They are all estivating. They are going down. Yes, because of the weather. So we are going to introduce. That's why we are introducing moisture for that particular side, so that we do not want them to sleep.
You produce some liquid.
Yes.
Like a block, ice block, and
yeah. Exactly, and that decreases their rate of losing moisture and other insects from attacking them whilst they are in the sleep stage. Yes, so that is basically everything that we do, and every day that you spend with the snails, you learn more about them, and that is the beauty of being a research facility or a farmer. We are not in a hurry to sell. That gives us more ample room to make errors or whatever, so that we can actually curtail. And the good thing is that we are having funding every now and then. I've been funded by British Council. I've been funded by GIZ. I've traveled on British Council ticket to Kenya, to Malawi,